I believe in Hashem. I trust in Hashem. There never is a moment when that I am alone and I'm on my own. I believe and I trust in Hashem because I understand that He's holding my hand and every step is perfectly planned. He's holding me tight, so I'll be all right. I believe and I trust in Hashem. We are now in a very special month. The name of this month is Elul. What does Elul mean? Elul is not a word in Lashon HaKodesh. Elul is actually a word in the language which is called Aramaic. You're familiar with that because when you learn Chumash, you see in your Chumash there is Unklis, who has a translation of every word. Unklis wrote a translation in Aramaic. So in order to find out what the word Elul means, let's take a look in Chumash and find if we see if there is the word Elul in Unklis's Targum, in his translation. And then we'll look into the Chumash and see what is he translating in that way. So actually, we don't find the exact word Elul in Unklis, but we find a word that has the same shaydish, the same root. We take a look in Parshas Miketz. We find it in a few places, but we're going to use Miketz. In Miketz, Yosef is telling his brothers who came to Mitzrayim to get food. Yosef says to them, "You are spies. You are meraglim." And they said, "No, we are not spies. Loi hayu avodecha meraglim. We are not spies." If we take a look, how does Unklis translate the word meraglim? He says the word meraglim means alile. Aleph, Lamed, Lamed, Yud. Alile, that's the Aramaic word for meraglim. Aleph, Lamed, Yud, Lamed, Yud. Does that sound like Elul? Absolutely. The same shaydish. So what does meraglim mean? Well, what do they do? Meraglim go and search out the land. They look out. And they pay attention to every detail. Aha! So that's what Elul means. To search out. Look into every detail. Of what? Well, since this is the end of the year, we're supposed to look back for all the previous months of the year and try to see, search in our actions, in the things that we said, the thoughts that we had, were they all the way Hashem wants it to be? And we should think about the good things we accomplished the entire year, since this year began, and see all the good things we did, and see if there are any things that we have to improve. Have we made any mistakes? Did anything wrong? And we should do tshuva. We should improve. This can be included in any of the things of Torah, Avodah, or Gemilas Chasadim. Learning Torah, how much did we learn? A lot. Did we miss anything? Well, if we did, it's in order that next year we should learn more. Avodah, that's davening. Have we davened the way Hashem wants us to daven, to pay attention? with kavana? Have we said all the words clearly? Have we connected with Hashem while we were davening? That's avodah. So we have to think about that too. Then gemilas chasadim, being kind to others. Have we given tzedakah the way we should? Have we done favors to others? That's what gemilas chasadim means. Doing chesed, doing kindness. And these three things, Torah, avodah, and gemilas chasadim, are actually hinted in the word Elul. Elul has 4 letters: Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. It stands for these three things. Let's take the Torah. Where do we find 4 letters, Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed, that means Torah? We find it in the Torah. It says, Ina leyadai v'samti lecha. That if a person, by mistake, killed someone, so he doesn't have to get punished for it, but he has to go to Ari Miklat. He has to go to a city where he's going to be protected, since he did not do it on purpose. It's a kind of galus for him, but he has to be there because he killed someone by mistake. If he doesn't go, then someone might come after him and harm him. So to be saved, he goes to Ari Miklat. And you should know that learning Torah is just like Ari Miklat. It also saves us. It saves us from the Yetzer Hara, protects us in case the Yetzer Hara wants to complain and say, hey, this guy did an Avera this year. You want to be protected from that Yetzer Hara? Go to Ari Miklat, which is learning Torah. Divrei Torah Carlton. The words of Torah protect. And that's in the 4 words. Ina leyadai v'samti lecha. The same thing is with avodah. What's avodah? Davening. When we show our love to Hashem, we connect to Hashem. And that's hidden in the other 4 words. Ani ledoidi v'doidi li. That begins with the letters Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed. So that symbolizes tefillah, davening. And then comes the 3rd thing, gemilas chasadim, giving tzedakah. Where do we find the pasuk that has these 4 letters in its 4 words? Ish lire'ehu umatanois lo avyonim. Yes, you guessed it. That's from Megillas Esther. It's talking about giving, mishloach manais, and tzedakah to the poor. So what are the words? Ish lire'ehu aleph lamed, umatanois vav lo avyonim lamed. So you have again aleph lamed vav lamed. Torah, avodah, and gemilas chasadim. And this is the month in which we do teshuvah. And the mitzvah of teshuvah is also hinted with the 4 letters of Elul. Because in the Torah, when he talks about doing teshuvah, it says like this: Umol Hashem alikecha es levavcha ve'es levav zarecha. That Hashem is going to cleanse and purify your heart and the heart of your children. If we take that through tshuva. So if we take the 4 words, es, levavecha, ve'es, levav, again you have aleph, lamed, vav, lamed. That's a hint for tshuva. So we have 4 things already. Torah, avodah, gemilas chasadim, and tshuva. And if we do it all, we're going to have Mashiach. We'll have Geula, which is also hinted with 4 words. It says when Mashiach is going to come, we're going to sing the 10th shir, the 10th song to Hashem. And it's written in Az Yasher. It says, Hashira la Hashem, vayoimru leimer. We're going to sing to Hashem when Mashiach comes. This pasuk is talking about Geula. What 4 letters do these 4 words have? Ashira is with an aleph, La Hashem Lamed, Vayoimru is a vav, Leimer is a lamed. So here again, we have 5 things: Taira, Avoda, Gemilas Chasadim, Tshuva, and Geula, all hinted in the 4 letters of Elul, to show us what is our job in Elul, to search back and see what we have to do. You see, a guy once came to the bakery, 8 o'clock in the morning. He needed bread for his family, because the kids have to eat breakfast to go to school. When he came inside, the guy was not standing by the counter so he can pay him the money and go. The storekeeper was sitting in the corner of the store by his desk with a calculator and a pen, taking notes. So the Yid, let's call him Yitzchak, he calls the storekeeper and says, Reb Yankel, good morning. Reb Yankel said, I'll be with you in a minute. I just have to finish writing down something. Now Yitzchak is in a bit of a rush because the kids have to make the bus on time. Reb Yankel keeps on calling out and saying, coming, coming. 5 minutes passed, and Yankel did not come. He's busy with his writing. So Reb Yitzchak had no other choice. He had to leave and go to the supermarket and buy the bread there. But he did feel a little bad for Reb Yankel. And he wanted to make sure Reb Yankel was not offended that he walked out of the store. So later that evening, they met in the street, and Reb Yitzchak says, Reb Yankel, I really must apologize. I'm sorry for hurt your feelings by leaving. Oh, I understand you were rushing. Yes, I was rushing. But you have to understand, Reb Yitzchak, I wasn't able to serve you at that moment. You know why? Because I'm in business. I know how to run a business. You're not in business. You sit and learn. You teach Torah. You don't know what it means to be a businessman. To be a businessman, let me tell you this, you have to make calculations. You have to figure out, and you have to make a cheshbon. Cheshbon means to calculate. How much money is going into the store? How much am I spending? How much money am I getting? How much am I giving out? There are so many cheshbonos I have to make. So I was sitting and doing the cheshbonos. I was writing it all down. How much came in, how much goes out. And that's very important. You understand, Yitzchak? I understand very well. But I think, if you don't mind, I would like to share what I feel about it. What? My feeling is that while customers are coming to your store, means when the store is open, no writing down cheshbonos. You have to be available to the customers. You can do what you want, but if I was a storekeeper, I would not do any cheshbonos while the customers can come. So when am I going to do it? By night, when the store is closed and there are no customers. By night, you can make the cheshbonos, not a problem. Because then you served everyone during the day, and by nighttime, you start making a cheshbonos. And it's important. In our Yom Yom, it says like this, that exactly like this is what takes place in Chodesh Elul. Every day of the year, we have to make a cheshbon. We have to calculate, how was I today? How many mitzvahs did I do? How many good things did I do? How many yidden did I help? And if I did any mistakes for which I have to do tshuva. So every day we have to make a cheshbon. It's called cheshbon hanefesh. Nefesh is about your neshama. To make a cheshbon, where is my neshama holding? It's very, very important every day. But, just like by the storekeeper, daytime is not the right time to make the cheshbon. You know when I should make the cheshbon? By night. After I finish learning and davening and doing everything I have to do as a yid, when it comes nighttime, we say Kriya Shema Shalamita, we're about to go to sleep. It's like then we're closing the store. That is the right time to make a cheshbon hanefesh, to make this calculation. And the same thing we do once a week. Besides doing it every night, at night you do a short one just for the day. But we should also make a cheshbon hanefesh once a week for the whole week. When do we do that? Thursday night. It's called Leil Shishi. We think over all the things of the whole week, and there are some chassidim that when they say Kriya Shema Shalamita Thursday night, you know what else they add? They say also Al Chet. You know what we say in Yom Kippur? They say it also every Thursday night, because it's a cheshbon hanefesh for the whole week. Then we have a monthly cheshbon hanefesh, once a month. When do we do that? At the last day of the month. That's Erev Rosh Chodesh of the next month. To make sure that next month is going to be a better month than this one. In fact, Erev Rosh Chodesh is also called Yom Kippur Katan, a miniature Yom Kippur, because it's the time of doing tshuva for everything that happened the whole month. And tshuva doesn't only mean if I did sins. Tshuva also means to get closer to Hashem, to improve myself for next month. So we have a cheshbon hanefesh for every day, every week, every month. And what's about every year? Yes, exactly. That's what Chodesh Elul is all about. Chodesh Elul is the time of the year we make a cheshbon hanefesh for the entire year. Now we know what Chodesh Elul is all about. The name means to search, to look where? To search back in my memory and try to remember all the good things I did and all the things that need improvement. So like this, the coming year is going to be extra special. And have good news. The Alter Rebbe tells us good news. He says that in order to do it properly, we need a special koyach from Hashem. We need to be able to do so. Anything you do comes from Hashem. No one can do anything on their own. Everything we do, we breathe, we see, we hear, we walk, everything's from Hashem. So to do tshuva in the month of Elul, we need a special koyach from Hashem. So you know what Hashem does for us to make it so easy? The Alter Rebbe says like this. He gives a mashal, a parable. He says, imagine when a king is in the palace and he's sitting on his throne. Can anybody just get to him? No. Only the ministers, the nobles, very special people, they can get into the palace and maybe get to see the king. But there's a certain time when the king wants to make himself available to everybody. So he goes out of the palace, out of the city, and he goes into the field. And in the field, He makes himself available to everyone and anyone. And no matter what we did, no matter where we're coming from, no matter how we're dressed, we can go and greet the king. And how does the king look at us? With a smile, with a happy looking face. He greets everyone happily. And he says, tell me, my dear, what is it that you wish? I want to give it to you. That's a special koyach, says Alter Rebbe, that Hashem gives us in the month of Elul. It's like a king who's in the field. Hashem gives us the special koyach now, that we can get closer to Hashem, we can approach Him and say whatever we want, more than any other time of the year. And if we do so, guess what happens? We become so precious, so special, that when the king goes afterwards back to his palace, like in Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, it's like the king going back into the palace. We can follow the king inside, because we become such special people because of what we did in Elul, that we can go inside the palace and be with the king. That's how special Tishrei is for us. So it all starts from preparing ourselves in the month of Elul. And during Elul, Hashem says, choose and ask for whatever you want. I'm there for you. And what are we going to ask for? Of course, we're going to ask for food, for clothing, for health, for happiness, success in yeshiva, in school. Wherever we are, we should be successful. It should be a very good year. But we shouldn't forget to ask the most important thing. We want Mashiach now. We want Geula now. We want the Beis HaMikdash. That's on the top of our list. And when we have Mashiach, we have everything. I want to tell you a nice story about it.